Ciao and welcome back to my identity series within my Be Kind Fox channel. I am talking about identity in those cases where people have multiple origins, and mainly if people from different countries or cultures or origins have children together and maybe even live in a third country, so where a child grows up with very different cultural origins. Today's topic is cultural appropriation.
I must admit that I find it a bit difficult because there are cases where it is completely logical to me that a situation is about cultural appropriation and it is wrong. I remember there was a case of a stylist who copied exactly a design of an indigenous culture and put it on their very, very high cost fashion, and didn't share any of the income with these indigenous people. So that case for me is clear, and it's not correct to do so.
But there also have been cases where I must admit that I don't understand the problem, which in one case, same as with racism, as a privileged person who is not concerned, it's easy to say there is no cultural appropriation. But again, I am not the one who is concerned by that. So if somebody puts their hair in a certain way, which is felt as part of a culture of a population, in my opinion, it is cultural appropriation if you do that to degrade this culture. So for me, there is a clear distinction between cultural appropriation and cultural appreciation. If I use something that is part of a culture which is not mine, as long as I do it in an appreciative way and I do it respectfully, I don't see the problem. But again, I'm not concerned. So there was a case a few months ago in Germany where at a open air concert, one band got a problem because the singer of the band had rastas. So, and he was white, of course, German. I personally, I don't see that problem. And in my opinion, if we start with what you do with your hair, then who invented which hairstyle? I guess Vikings and American indigenous people had similar hairstylings, because as long as there are human beings and their hair was growing and it was in the way, or they cut it, or they made something with it to keep it out of the face. But again, to be very clear, I'm not concerned by any of these. So I might have a wrong point of view, but I think that the main point is if you are appreciative or not. But what has this to do with having multiple origins? And there we encounter situations where a child grows in one culture and has maybe two different other cultures in its origin, and where does the appropriation take place, or is there any appropriation taking place? So you grow up with, and that I guess is one of the problems that you might encounter.
You grow up with, let's just look at the parents, with two different cultures which you feel yours because it's your father's and your mother's culture and you grew up with it, with them, and you feel them as yours, of course. But there might be people coming and being of the opinion that as you were not born in this country, then you are not allowed to use these, I don't know, hairstyles or traditions or dishes or designs or whatever it is.
For me personally, I must say having different cultures was always, there was always one positive aspect that I could see in detail one culture and the other culture, and that then many years later also the third culture, and pick out what was suiting me. So if I don't like a tradition or a way to do something in one culture, I don't have to do it. And having different cultures, I can take chance of the fact that I have 2 or 3 of them. And it's not disrespectful, it's just picking out what is best for me.
Where I feel that there is a cultural appropriation taking place, which might sound absolutely silly, but this is something where my cultural belongings somehow get mad, is with Italian dishes. So if I see that people who have absolutely no Italian roots whatsoever, and they take Italian dishes and then do them their way. So you take spaghetti carbonara, which is one of the most known examples, a part of pizza. Let's take the example of carbonara. When you prepare carbonara, there is no cream, full stop. It's not. There is a discussion between different villages and regions in Italy. Some use onions and some don't use onions, but there is no discussion about cream. There is no cream in carbonara sauce. And whenever a person from a completely different culture makes this dish and adds cream or whatever else comes to their mind because they feel they can make it better, I get mad, as millions of other Italians. So take spaghetti and do whatever you want with it, but just don't call it carbonara. It's no carbonara if there is cream in it. And even worse is if you have a restaurant in Canada and you are from I don't know which other country and you offer spaghetti carbonara with cream. This for me is cultural appropriation because you use the name of something which is standing for something which is of a completely different culture, and you sell it, you earn money destroying the image, because people then will think that is spaghetti carbonara. No, it's not. So call it egg spaghetti with cream. Fine. No problem. But don't call it carbonara, because carbonara is different. Pizza doesn't go with ananas, with pineapple. There's no way, because it is a sweet fruit. You wouldn't put banana on the pizza. You wouldn't put I don't know, whatever fruit. It is a salty thing and you would put salty things on it. So if you want to put pineapple on your pizza, do it. It's not the problem of doing it. The problem is selling it as an Italian dish. A pizza with a pineapple on it is not Italian. Full stop. You can call it whatever you want. Call it tomato cake with pineapple. Fine. And you see my emotions. You feel that for me is something where I just I get mad. As mentioned, there are tons of videos about Italians getting mad about how our local cuisine is treated badly.
Coming back to a child growing up with maybe two different cultures from the parents and growing up in a third country. If this child grows up with things in this new country and likes them and feels part of the country, which is a beautiful thing. It's the best that can happen, that this child is not feeling a stranger in this new country, but is feeling as part of the country. And by nature, also growing up with all the traditions and cultures, at a certain point starts using in an appreciative way those elements of this culture, of this country. I think it's perfect. I think it is beautiful. And if this child then can live the three cultures, the one of the mother, the one of the father, and the one of the country it is growing up in, and can pick those things that suit this child, I think it is perfect. In a very, very short detail, we have done this here in Switzerland and also in Germany. When my daughter was a small child, a very, very, very small thing. But if you look at Christmas in Italy, the event where you have gifts is on the 25th and not on the 24th. And in Italy again on the 6th of January, we know that there in the back there are the three kings coming, but for children there's a witch coming. She's called the Befana, and she brings gifts for the children. For me, it was the point: how do I handle these different dates between the 24th and the 25th, where you might say it's not a big deal. It is not, but if you are a child and all the other kids in your surrounding are having gifts on the 24th and you have to wait until the 25th, you feel an outsider. And for me as a mother, I didn't care if it was the 24th or the 25th. I wanted my child to have the event because it is part of our culture, but to also have it happening at the same time as all her friends from kindergarten and school. And on the 6th of January, for the other children here in the surrounding, nothing big was happening. But at our house, there was Befana. So at a certain point, I put it also always in the chimney. Befana had come, and she had brought gifts for my daughter. And it was holidays only anyhow, so it was nothing where she had a special role in difference to her friends. It was just something happening around us. So she grew up with this Italian culture, but adjusted to the German and then Swiss surrounding. And this is what is important for me, is that you must be aware of your origins, of your cultures, of your culture, and you must get aware of the cultures in or traditions in the new country. And to do that, you have to go outside of your house. You have to look in the newspaper. That's what I did all the time when after we came here to Switzerland. I was always checking what local events would take place and all the traditional things and all the things where I thought my daughter would have fun, but mainly the traditional things. We went there, we showed up there to show we are part of this community, but also to learn about these traditions and what people do and why and when is it happening, and then just asking other people, locals, what are the roots of these traditions, why are you doing it, and learning about it. So for her, it was natural to have these events and traditions.
So I hope you enjoyed this discussion. Again, I am discussing the topics that have to do somehow with the identity if you have multiple origins. I didn't learn it. I am not a pro. I just lived the experience and I think about it. So what I am delivering to you is just my brain bits, my thoughts, and then I hope that based on that you deliver your own, you develop your own opinions, and that my thoughts might give you a new perspective, even if you maybe are of a completely different opinion. Perfect. I'm starting the discussion. I'm trying to make people aware, and then everybody has to look at their own situation, their own family, their own culture, country, whatever origins, and try to find their best way.
And for me, the most important thing is to make adults, parents aware of those topics so that they can support their children. That is my main point. And there is no right or wrong. There is just a being aware of something and thinking about it and then doing the best we can, as always. So thank you so much for your company, for listening to me. I hope you enjoyed this topic. I hope I gave you new ideas. If you did like it, please click the like button. Please subscribe. It helps me a lot and it doesn't cost you anything. It's just one click. And as always, be kind.